Alright guys, let's do a quick video on colloidal silver, making colloidal silver. I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and I guess after you explain this 3 or 4 times to someone, you figure, well, I don't know, go ahead and make a video. That's a fancy power supply. It's a DC power supply, lab setup. Has adjustable voltage and current and all that kind of stuff, and that's what you don't need. I'm doing that just because I want to do some experimenting, and this is what most people would have around their house. There's a 9 volt 400 milliamp, 9 volt 500 milliamp, 18 volt 80 milliamp, and 24 volt 400 milliamp. If you guys are curious what that one is for, that's an 18 volt drill battery charger. Alright, these are just regular old wall warts. People call them plug in the wall. That one, I think, powered a portable phone. No telling about the rest of them, I can't remember. But that's all you need, that right there. It's handy to have a set of alligator clips, just for making your connections to your silver electrodes. All the rest of this stuff, I'm just for my own personal benefit, trying to figure out something about voltages, amperages, and all that kind of stuff, just making some records. An aerator from Walmart, cost you about $7-8, and then a hose and a bubbler down in there, like from an aquarium. I think probably about $12-13 for all of that together. 15 if you add some of those connectors. But basically, that's a quart mason jar filled with distilled water. I always want to use distilled water. It takes a lot longer because there's no particulate matter in it. If you use a total solids meter and you test tap water and distilled water, you see distilled water doesn't have any particulates in it, and has almost zero conductivity as far as electrical current goes. So the best thing to do is take a previous batch that you have and pour about a third or a fifth. In other words, I just put a little bit down here in the bottom. Probably let's see if it has ounces on the bottom. Probably about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, or something like that. But anyway, that's a bottom to a styrofoam bowl. And that right there is the silver maple leaf Canadian coin, 0.99, and that is a piece of silver bullion. And I have a little piece of silver wire. I just use a 0.9, the 3 nines for that, because the negative terminal will not drop any silver. It's only the positive, so that's why I use that. Normally I solder a connector on to the coins. I just haven't done that yet. You can see this was some 12 gauge wire that was used on both ends, and it looks like a toothpick. And there's another piece there that was used just on one end. That's got a very sharp point on it. Well, you can tell. But a very sharp point, so it just withers away to nothing. This is a piece of bullion, silver bar coin, or bar bullion. That's basically what it started out as. I welded a little piece of 12 gauge wire on it. Just used a little small torch, butane, propane torch, or whatever, to do that. And I do the same thing with the silver maple leaf coins. You can see on the back of the silver maple leaf coin, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but right there in that corner it says 0.999, so that's from the mint. What are the other kind of things that you might need? There's the alligator clips that just make everything easy. There's a I showed you the aerator a minute ago. Here's the hose for the aerator. There's one of the little ceramic bulbs that goes on the end that it blows air through. There's a 12 gauge silver wire. You can use 3 nines or 4 nines. If you're going to use it to make colloidal silver, and you're going to hook it to your positive lead, That's the lead that the silver is going to come off of. Go ahead and use the 4.9s. That's 99.99% pure versus 99.9% pure. Now what's this other stuff? I like to make salves and poultices. So that stuff you see down there is called slush powder. And that stuff you call up there is called joke juice. It's both the same thing. You order it from magic shops. If you order it from a scientific lab, that right there will cost you about $25, $30. And that, I don't even want to think about that. But that cost you somewhere around $5 from a joke shop, and that was about $7.50. That's what you make your salve with. And that xanthan gum, Xanthan gum, that was a pound or 4 ounces, and I used some of that to make some salve. Now, what does a salve look like? Let me see if I can open this. With one hand. Here we go. Oh, great. Yeah, right. Hang on a second. What's the difference between these two? This is xanthan gum on the left, and it is a cream, a real slick looking cream. It will dry into a starchy type substance, and it'll actually start drawing and pulling, so you get the effect of the colloidal silver on the front end, and then it'll draw and pull. That's why I use that. This salve here is a colloidal silver salve. It basically does the same thing, or no, not take it back. It just covers the skin, so you can get, I use it put on band-aids and whatever, and put it on stuff where it's hard to get water to stay for a few minutes. The other thing you might want is, this is Scotch Brite. You're probably familiar with that. It just happens to be on the back end of the sponge. Doesn't work as well. It's better if you have a little piece of it. Because you have to clean your silver between runs, okay? Because it won't be pretty and shiny like that when you get done. It'll have a white sludge or black sludge build up on a negative. Black and white sludge build up on the positive side. So you need to take that Scotch Brite and really clean. Otherwise, because you're dealing with very, very minute voltages, okay? Now, that's why I have this hooked up. You'll see that switches back and forth. When it switches back to a 1, we're talking about 10 milliamps, okay? 10. Now, that's 400, 500, 80, and 400. So, we're talking about barely using any voltage at all, all right? And I've made it from anywhere. I'm making some at 14 volts right now. But I've made it, like you see, from 9 to 12, 14, 18, 24 volts, 48 volts. Obviously, on a higher voltage, lower amperage, it makes it a little bit faster. Okay, so what else are you going to need? Let me just show you this right here. This is a batch that I left on a little bit too long. Made it super strong. 3 to 5 parts per million is all you really need. 10 parts per million, that's even better. 20 parts per million, yahoo, let's see if you can see that. Let's see. Now, I can't see it in the display, but it's bouncing back, and there we go. Whoops, I pulled it out of the fluid. Let me move this over just a hair. Let's see it a little bit better. There we go. Alright. Whoops. Dang. Let's pull it out of there again. Alright. Anyway, that's right at 75 parts per million. 75, 76. Looks like 75 parts per million. So, what I'm using that for is turn around and put it back into the solution to get it started here. So I pour a little bit in it each time to get it up and going. Otherwise, it takes forever. Now, how do you know what your positive and negative are? Positive and negative coming from your transformer. Well, once you figure it out, go ahead and mark it with something. But if you take a meter and you hook up your red lead to one, black lead to the other, if you get a positive voltage, then you'll know that your red lead is on the hot side, the power side. If you get a negative, now here I'm doing amps, so it really doesn't matter. But here, if you get a negative sign, that means that you've got your power lead on the negative lead coming from. So just swap it over as soon as you get a positive number. That's the lead that is going to distribute your silver. Okay, what if you don't have a meter? No big deal. Go ahead and hook your wires up and plug it in. Don't turn your aerator on. You don't have to have an aerator, but it makes a lot cleaner solution, and it never hurts to oxygenate something, right? So when you hook it up, watch for a little bitty smoke trail coming off of one of the leads. You'll see just a little faint dust trail coming off the positive lead. And once you see that, you'll know that that's the positive lead connected to that device, or to that particular piece of silver. Alright, so put it on, get everything all hooked up, plug your power supply in, turn your aerator on. I recommend one. They're only, $10 or so. And let her go. Now, how long does it usually take? Well, that's a quart jar, mason jar, and it has distilled water in it. And I poured just a little bit of a previous solution, so we're talking about starting off at maybe 7 or 8 parts per million. If you start off with tap water, which you don't want to do, because especially if you live in the city, they got all kind of chemicals in that. That's not really good for making colloidal silver. If you drink tap water, it's different than making colloidal silver with it. Okay, so just go ahead and use your distilled water. Your first batch is going to take quite a little while to get started. Once it gets up to about 13, 14, 15, 20 parts per million, then it starts making a good bit faster. You can make a stronger batch, turn around and dilute it. If you get 20 parts per million, you got plenty. Okay, so don't be bashful about making this stuff. It's not that difficult to make. It's pretty, and it's really good. Try it on everything. You can't beat it for burns. You can't beat it for mosquito bites and bee stings and stuff like that. It'll take the sting or the itch out of something almost immediately. Sore throat, you can't beat it. Anything bacterial, take a sponge in your kitchen that's sour, smells, squeeze it out, put it in a spray bottle, spray it on the sponge, squeeze it around a good bit, throw the sponge back up there, an hour or two later come back, it'll be nice and fresh. Alright, so it'll do all kinds of stuff. This is my little Tupperware bag or a box that I keep a bunch of stuff in. I was going to show you something. I got 9-volt batteries and all in there for making it a different way battery. But anyway, batteries for my tester and all that. Thought I had something else to show you there, but that's okay. Anyway, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them up there. Hopefully I covered that well enough. But it's not real difficult to make colloidal silver, and the benefits are far outweigh it. I mean, for burns, I had someone come over the other day. We were doing some blacksmith work. They got work outside. They got what they call a black iron burn, which is it's not glowing red, so you know not to touch it. And reached over there. I heard the skin sizzle in the background, and then I heard the glove come flying off. And anyway, I had to remind that person how bad that was, how bad that burn was. And it's going to be a blister, it's going to take a week and a half, and all sorts of stuff. And it was right on the thumb, so it was really going to be an inconvenient spot to get one. And I came in and grabbed that right there. That's the colloidal silver with that slush powder juice, and it's called high polymer. Came in, told her, I said, go ahead and stick your thumb in it. And she stuck her thumb down in it and just rubbed it around a little bit. And I said, do that 2 or 3 times over the next 5 minutes. So she went and did that. Anyway, after the next 5 minutes or so, I hollered at her and I said, hey, come help me for a second over here. I distracted her. She came over. She started helping me. Next thing you know, she was back over there beating and banging, building some more skewers and some other things. And I reminded her, so I asked her about 10 minutes later, I said, hey, how's that thumb? And she looked down at the thumb, and I tell you, it was the most confused look I think I've ever seen on someone's face, because there was no blister. You could see the shiny spot where the piece of metal burned her, and that white area where you get that burn, but it never did. In fact, I called her the next day or two and asked her, how's it doing? She says, oh, it's fine, there's nothing. She says, just that little mark there. And that was a serious burn, and that was going to blister up. I've wiped my skin off of my hands before when I had a little accident. 3rd-degree burns, wiped them off, came in and wiped skin off to where it was nothing but just pink meat, pink shiny meat, and came in and put colloidal silver on it. And the next day was out dipping chickens in boiling water and plucking them. That'll give you some idea. So anyway, get started making this stuff. It's real simple. All you need is a couple little power supplies. So start putting your hands. Don't throw any of them away. Always hang on to them. There's 100 different ways to make this stuff. You make it with 9-volt batteries. You can take little RJ11 connectors that you plug your phone in to the wall with. You can crimp your wires in there. You can use the 24 volts that comes in on your house phone system to make it. A bunch of different ways. I'm doing some testing. That's why I bought that. That's a little bit more expensive. But basically, I did that before I ever really hooked up an amp meter, and being as it's only running like 10 milliamps, so really this power supply was unnecessary, but I'm using it to do some testing anyway, just in case. So cheers, good luck, and you start using this stuff. Look, you can put it anywhere. You can drink it. You know, if you don't make it, don't ever put any salt in the water, because it makes a silver chloride and not a colloidal. Is it ionic? Is it colloidal? All that, it doesn't matter. Those people who are arguing about that kind of stuff, they're the ones that are trying to sell you their colloidal silver, that the rest of the colloidal silver doesn't work, and theirs is the only one that works. They're the ones arguing all that kind of garbage. It's all ionic if it's made DC like that, and it all works. Trust me, I've got freaking 25, 30 employees a year. One of them comes up with this and that and the other, and I give a little bit. Next thing you know, I'm supplying the whole freaking colony down there with salve for all their different ailments and stuff. So, you know, you can spray it in your eyes. You get tired. I get tired eyes, and I'll just spray it in my eyes. I had to go to the hospital the other day to visit someone that's having a surgery. I try to avoid hospital as much as I can, but it's a very close friend of mine. So I carried me a little spritzer bottle, a little spray bottle. It's actually a little travel hairspray bottle, a little plastic bottle that you use when you're traveling. And I sprayed some up my nose, and then I sprayed it in my mouth. I breathed it down, and I sprayed it in my eyes, and I went in the hospital because I was like, I don't want to be in there where they got all those super bacteria, super strains of bacteria and viruses and all that stuff. But anyway, so I felt pretty safe, pretty comfortable. So anyway, there's some colloidal silver. You don't need all that expensive stuff. That is all you need right there. Get the .99949s silver wire, or just the old Canadian maple leaf coin, because it's 4 nines. It's 99.99% pure right now. Silver is probably $17 an ounce. You can buy the silver coins around $20, $22, and I paid up to $50 a piece for them before. All right, cheers. Good luck to you.